Hello there. Today we are going to move on to the principles of design. So basically we have the elements of design, which are things that artists use to create effective designs, like line, tone, shape, color, all of that great stuff. Now the principles of design is how the artist arranges those elements onto their canvas. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about focus and space. It says here, describe what focus means in relation to composition. Find an example of a composition with a primary focus. So we'll be talking about primary and secondary focuses. Same for this question. It says describe the difference between positive and negative space and give examples. And then you're going to have to find or create an example of a composition that uses space poorly. Let's take a look at the principle of design PowerPoint, which at any point you can pull up to help you complete assignments, especially if they're asking you to describe certain principles. Please look back to this PowerPoint. So design principles are ways of arranging or organizing design elements. There's focus, space, unity, rhythm, and balance. Focus is used to center attention. It can be created by contrasting elements so that they can attract attention. So for example, the large light-colored face stands out from the darker background. So our focus is going to go right towards this part of his face, and then most likely our secondary focus would go to the title. Okay, so this is going to attract attention because that contrast of light to dark. A bright color stands out against dull colors, just as a loud sound can stand out against a quiet sound. Contrast and placement are effective ways to create focus. So as far as placement goes, we'll talk about the rule of thirds at another time, but more so the contrast right here, light to dark, is what we're talking about. Dark tones stand out over light tones. Heavy lines stand out more than thin lines. Bold patterns stand out more than fine patterns. Size and placement of text and images should relate to the importance of information. Strong color stands out more than soft color. Size and placement of text and images should relate the importance of information, and lines and visual rhythms can move attention towards a focal point. So take a minute to think what you think the focal point of this image would be. Well, our focal point would be the real, or this whole part right up here, real people, real places, real coffee. And we have a nice contrast between the red and the yellow, and the black and the yellow for the words. We have visual lines of the hands that will draw our eye in, like our eye will follow along here and then come up to this real focal point. Okay, so the lines and the rhythms can also move the attention towards the focal point. Some designs have a single focal point. In these designs, the components are arranged to focus attention towards this point. So this one's fairly simple. This is our focal point, and we have a line going in toward it. Other designs have multiple focal points for emphasis. So this would most likely be our primary focal point, just to draw in the attention. We just have a different color. We have some nice complementary colors. We have like an orangey and then a nice light blue. Then down up here we have secondary secondary focuses. Some designs do not have a clear focal point. Repeated elements are used to keep the eye moving. So right here there's a pattern that moves the eye across the page. In my opinion, strong designs always have focal points. So identifying focal points. We already talked about how that was the primary and that's the secondary focus. Primary focus, secondary focus. Primary focus, secondary focus. Primary focus, secondary focuses. So keep that in mind as you're looking at compositions and creating your own composition. Space. Space is the area in and around something. Designing involves arranging design elements in space. Use these steps to create a presentation. Yeah, we're not doing that. Okay, so anyway, here's an example of a design that uses space poorly. So these red numbers, those are examples of our negative space. So that's space that is unused in a composition. And all the words on the pictures, that is our positive space. So you can see how it's kind of scattered and messy and unorganized. That's an example of a poor use of space. We have ungrouped information, it's difficult to read, too many little empty white spaces, and floating information causes confusion. A hint if you're using text is to always align at least one edge of each text block or image with the edge of another text block or image. So you can see how they line these edges up, these edges, and then those two edges. When we do that, it becomes easier to read. So this is an example of a three column layout and a 4-column layout. Alignment creates a sense of order, and we have large organized space, so much easier to read. And there is our effective white or negative space. Here's an example of an easy to read 5-column layout. More negative or white space there. 6-column. Some more examples. More examples of an effective layout. So 3-dimensional designs have form, length, width, height, and occupy space. Space can be interior or exterior for an object. Example, a piece of furniture or a garment. So we have the space around the furniture, but we also have the space in between. And we have the space under the fabric here too. There is often a close relationship between a 3-dimensional design and its surrounding space. 2-dimensional designs are flat. They are developed on a 2-dimensional surface such as a page, billboard, fabric, or digital screen. Design elements can be used in 2-dimensional designs to create an illusion of 3-dimension space or depth. So right in these examples, we would have tone and contrast that would help create that illusion of 3-dimensional design. Linear perspective is a mathematical method of creating an illusion of 3-dimensional space on a flat surface. The relative sizes of objects in space are worked out using a system involving lines receding to a vanishing point or a vanishing point. So all of these lines, those ones, are all going towards a vanishing point, probably about here-ish. That just helps create depth into this image. So if you're creating a composition and you want to give it depth, think of where those lines would vanish. You have to pick a point and draw the lines of your composition towards that point. On a flat surface, a larger shape or form will appear closer than a smaller one. So this teapot seems a lot closer than this little guy way back here. And same with this circle and that, as opposed to that circle. Bright, warm colors tend to advance in space and appear closer than dull, cool colors, which tend to recede. So this looks closer than that. Same with the red as opposed to the blue on these ones. So from that, I want you to go and do your assignment, the focus and space assignment. Let me know if you have any questions.